In a world where everyone has their own podcast, even their pets, three men set out to create the most elaborately produced, yet moderately listened to podcast of them all. Last Pint Productions proudly presents Ben Wilson, Nick Santacroce, and Matt Schenk in The New Way Podcast. Rated R for nudity, sexual situations, nerd rope motherfucker, and any more treats. Listener discretion is advised.
One man.
No.
When your life is no longer your own.
What does that mean?
When everything you know is wrong.
That's wrong.
In an outpost.
No.
On the edge of space.
No space.
A girl.
No.
Two girls.
No.
Now.
No.
More than ever.
Stop it.
A renegade cop.
I hate you.
A robot renegade cop.
You're fired.
You're fired.
No, you're actually fired.
Everybody wants to be naked and famous. Everybody wants to be just like me. I'm naked.
Will you help teach me about this? What is it? A new way?
Wow! Hey! How's it going out there? Welcome to The New Way Podcast, brought to you by Last Pint Productions and starring yours truly, Matt Schenk. With me, of course, is not Garth, but Benjamin Scott Wilson. Do you know?
Hello. How are you?
Do you know? I don't ever plan what in God's name I'm gonna say, but right before I'm supposed to speak, I try to think of something I've never said before or done before.
Yeah, and you're like, after 62 times.
I'm just really annoyed with it. It's the law of diminishing returns. I apologize. We used to have these wonderful things I would maybe lead off with, but I don't think I have them in me anymore. Out to pasture. But thank you for joining us here on The New Way, where we talk about pop culture, movies, TV, music, and all things in between, under, above, and below.
Definitely below.
From the from under cheese. We were missing, of course, we're missing Nick. If you've noticed a large hole in the sound here, that's because Nick is on assignment in Texas.
Echo.
Somewhere in Texas.
Yeah, Nick will be back here pretty soon, but I know that you won't have missed Nick too much because he was on the last episode, I hope.
Wow.
He's not going to listen to it.
He's been replaced by the scented air freshener, Rick and Morty air freshener, that's still there and still reeks. But I like that it defines itself to the corner.
I feel like he's pretty well represented by the Spider-Man mask that's hanging on his mic.
Well, everyone gets little things that are sort of personal to them. You're a little bit harder to peg, Ben. I didn't have any like pre-code movie figures for you, but you have a little Cap America.
I do have
since you're sometimes our leader, and Nick's
sometimes our leader. What are you talking? No, I was about to say. I think Matt Schenk is the fearless leader of this podcast.
I'm the Rocket Groot. That's my and the Batman. We'll have to get you. Well, you like Cap. Who's your favorite Marvel superhero? Actually, that's a good question.
Thor.
And get you. We can put Stormbreaker on your mic.
I'm not saying that Thor movies are the best Marvel movies, but I love
pretty damn good. Yeah.
I love Thor.
Okay,
I think that Thor is a very fun character.
You and Hoot are Thor news Thor buddies. Super Thor.
That Thor. He's got something about him. I would say, actually, that's actually a kind of funny question, because I think all of the Marvel superheroes have some kind of fun niche to fit in.
Sure.
And but that is something that evolved, because of course, like when Iron Man came out, I was just like, oh, Iron Man's like my new favorite superhero.
Yeah, well, yeah, and it's like, when I was a kid, it was always Batman, just because Batman had the coolest toys.
When I was a kid, it was Batman.
Yeah, he had the coolest toys. He had all the awesome shit, and then I learned about Daredevil, and I had more in common with Daredevil, but he wasn't really my favorite. Like, I kind of go all over the place. I mean, Star-Lord is probably my most empathetic, I think, with me, and that I get a lot of his
but the
emotion.
Thing is I don't feel like, and the Star-Lord doesn't really kind of fit into the mold of a traditional superhero.
Sure.
But, I mean, he is part God, so...
He was. I guess he's no longer part God.
No longer part God.
So we'll see if that has any repercussions in the MCU.
So I wanted to, before we get into our topic, just kind of our first little thing to talk about. And I kind of flip-flopped on this a few times. One, I was going to talk to you about the Almost Famous Broadway musical.
Yeah. Well, there's something I figured that we hadn't really discussed, but it kind of pertains to the topic a little bit. That's the last thing that we can bring up.
All right, perfect.
But yeah, what about the Almost Famous musical? It just makes sense.
I'm super fucking excited. And I think from a staging standpoint, it makes a lot of sense. I think there are a lot of easy ways to make that work.
There are, for movies especially, I feel like, that are intrinsically centered around performance.
Yeah.
Where a band or something along those lines is one of the main... Watch yourself now, Matt.
Sorry. I'm just bumping all over into things over here. Don't worry about me.
But where music, because that's one of the things I was like, when Once became a musical, I was like, well, that makes sense, because Once is one of those movies where, as opposed to it being where people are dancing around and singing about what they're doing at that time, the songs play a very significant part in the movie, but they're almost their own performances.
Sure.
And so I was like, all you have to do basically is put a play around it, and things with singular locations or relatively singular locations like Once has. Why not make a musical of that? Because you could probably do something creatively a little bit more maybe ambitious than the movie was.
Yeah.
Than what John Carney's great, fantastic 2006 movie was. 2006.
John
Carney,
you're talking
the
about.
director.
I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about Almost Famous for a second.
No. So for that, when I saw it, I was just like, yeah, it's a fantastic musical, and it makes perfect sense because it puts it into the framework of the story, where it even becomes more of a storytelling device than music does. But with Almost Famous, the one thing I would say that sets it apart a little bit is that the music of... Stillwater's not... they're not playing music that necessarily pertains to the plot in the way that Once did. So they're writing new music, apparently.
Yeah.
I think that'll be important. And I'm also wondering... And here's... Because I think that Cameron Crowe and Nancy Wilson are divorced now, but I wonder if they're going to utilize any of her score for that, because
that would be really interesting. Well, because I know Crow is involved. Like he's
heavily involved. Yeah.
So yeah, I think what I always like with those kind of adaptations is that movie is chock full of characters. So there are all kinds of areas where you can showcase stuff, especially even within the Stillwater band, where you've got like Jeff Beebe, Jason Lee's character is one that's got, that's a really easy way to write a rock song, to have him doing something that he wants to be his breakout, his solo moment on there, where he's kind of talking about the reason I brought it up is it is very close to what we were talking about with,
of course,
Ben and Nick and I were writing a show called Battle of the Bands, and we had a lot of staging ideas where there was the band that was rehearsing in the show was playing on stage while characters in the set upstairs were singing to the music that the band was orchestrating, and that was where some of the songs were coming from.
Yeah, which I still think is a clever device.
I very much think so.
I said that's like the midlife crisis thing that we'll just break down and do at one point in a few years, and just be like, we're just going to put this together.
I still think, from a staging standpoint, that still makes me excited. Like, I like the thought of that.
There's nothing I don't like about what we came up with in that show. I think it actually works really well as a 2-act musical.
Sure.
2 1-hour acts, plus change. But no, I agree. I think that it is similar, at least in construct, or could be similar in construct to what we were kind of thinking about, and is the opportunity to show a band that has a relative level of popularity, within the construct of the actual story.
Sure.
And utilize the performance, as opposed to it being, like in Once, where everyone is kind of singing to themselves or by themselves or in small groups of people. You can implement a live show format where like there are parts where Stillwater's playing where it turns into a full on fucking rock show, and that would be awesome.
I like it. I dig it. Yeah, I'm excited. I'll be very interested to see how quickly they put that together, and hopefully it makes. Hopefully it makes it to a show. Sometimes these things don't make it that far.
Yeah, I have a feeling it probably will, just because it's a well regarded enough, and they've got the Pulitzer winning songwriter who. Yeah, I mean,
I hope so. Yeah, I'm looking forward.
And if Crow's involved too. I don't see any reason why that wouldn't at least make it to previews.
Yeah, for sure. And so the other thing I want to talk about, it also sort of pertains to tonight's topic as well. So we'll see if this lumps in with you either. But I was thinking about this the other day. We've been seeing a lot of the Venom trailer, and Nick has been very vocal of just like hating every step of the way with the Venom trailer. And I've eventually it's just gotten to that point where I don't feel one way or another about the trailers. I don't feel that I've seen enough for it to look terrible or to look good. It just sort of is whatever it is. And one of the things I realized is I was not paying attention at all to who directed it. Do you know who directed it?
The guy who did Zombieland.
Yeah, Ruben Fleischer. And who I really like. And he's done some TV work that I like as well. Gangster Squad. There we go. Monster Squad.
And
what's funny is Gangster Squad is not a great movie, but it's really ambitious.
It's really well made.
Yes.
It's not...
It's not super entertaining.
It makes a lot of big missteps.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the Gangster Squad was one of his first movies. I mean, it was maybe the movie he did after Zombieland.
I think so. And then he's done some TV, some TV stuff. But I tend to like kind of the way he works. So that also that sort of threw me because I've not been paying attention to that fact. And the same thing happened to me with House with a Clock in Its Walls, which I had sent you a text about because I didn't realize that Eli Roth.
Yeah. Well, see, that was one of that movie came on my radar really early on because it was like, I remember there being, I think it was a Variety article about how Eli Roth is, growing up and he's doing stuff that's a little bit more, genre, not super genre specific when it comes to torture porn.
Yeah.
And that's already kind of an argument I would make against people who make that type of assumption with Eli Roth, because I don't consider even Cabin Fever torture porn. I actually think
Cabin Fever is a teen comedy that has a horror bent to it.
Yeah, I actually really like Cabin Fever a lot.
Too.
I think it's a really funny movie. I think it takes sort of the Cabin in the Woods, model. Sure. I think it was the last step that they could have taken before they made Cabin in the Woods, basically, or maybe the Evil Dead remake first. But
well, it's a movie that's having a ton of fun with everything, every moment it has in there, even the gross out stuff. It knows.
Yeah, it knows.
It's pulling very specific strings.
But it's not like there's. I honestly see, I saw Hostel, and I still think that the scene where she's shaving and in the bathtub
in Cabin,
and her skin's basically falling off is that turns my stomach more than anything else. But it's so effectively done because there's nothing that does that except for that one scene in that movie.
Well, there's one other scene. Well, it's not a visual, but it is the horrific hookup scene. Do you know the scene I'm talking about?
The one where he's like, oh.
He's got his hand down her pants, and he's like, "Oh, you're."
Right.
That is the that was one of the most disturbing reveals I think I've ever had of watching. I was almost violently ill. I was like, that is the foulest thing I could possibly think of. So I'm I was kind of interested in this movie to begin with because I think Kate Blanchett looks great. I like Jack Black.
It's gotten good reviews. Pretty decent. Everyone says that the cast runs away with it. And the cast is really, really great. And it's gotten passably good reviews. Everyone says it definitely is entertaining on its own. It's really great. The one thing is that originally I was like, oh, well, maybe we could take the girls to it. And then we read some of the reviews, and Beth was just like, yeah, we can't.
It sounds super...
Everyone says it's actually a really good introduction to horror for kids. Because it has a lot of weird occult stuff and jump scares and some stuff, especially in the first act, that's very, very off-putting. And would be very maybe confusing and scary for a kid, but they say for that kind of 8 to 11-year-old range, it's a really good, solid movie. So I was like, well,
that's kind of cool.
So Beth,
Beth
was like, we can still go see it.
Yeah, well, it's like scary stories to tell in the dark.
Maybe that's what we'll do. We'll just drop the kids off with you and Nick, and
you do it. We owe them a day.
We'll go watch a family.
But yeah, I think that's always interesting for me. Is that I will watch a trailer for something, or I'll hear about a movie, and if I don't know all the pieces and it doesn't really catch me with the marketing material, or even if it does. It always, when I find out who directed it, that often will turn my interest in the movie up or potentially down.
The thing I was going to talk about is Captain Marvel.
Okay,
I feel like the trailer reaction to that is kind of all over the place.
Yeah, because it's a female-led superhero movie and people are fucking assholes. And
I didn't feel like there was as much of a vitriolic reaction to Wonder Woman's first trailer.
Yeah. Maybe it's just Gal Gadot is the power of Gal Gadot or Gal Gadot. I don't know. Well, here's what was funny. So a lot of the reactions I was reading on Captain Marvel were all about how this is just pandering and this stuff. They should do it like Wonder Woman did, where it wasn't about her being a woman and they didn't bring attention to that. And I go, that was a huge part of the movie.
She's from an island that's only women.
She's the only one that
don't need men.
And so I go to the guy and go, she crosses no man's land. He goes, but that was a real thing. I go, Wonder Woman wasn't there. It's symbolic. No man's land. No one has been able to cross it except for her breaking down the barrier, or the fact that she doesn't understand why she can't fight in the dress, or
directed by Patty Jenkins, the director of movies like fucking Monster. Come on.
Just because they did it well doesn't mean it wasn't used. And yes, I think you have to draw attention that the fact is we've had no female-led superhero movies in this universe that's been around for 10 years now. Yes, there has to be a bit of welcome to the boys club
but
shit.
What in that trailer just screams like, oh yeah, we're doing this to pander.
She didn't smile enough. There was literally a whole thing that she was too serious looking in the trailer. She didn't, honey, why don't you smile? This is a real thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it really is. We live in a terrible world. It's a terrible, dark world.
Fanboys, just go fuck yourselves.
They photoshopped images from the trailer with her to make her smile. So then, of course, everyone took all of the male-led superhero ones, which the Doctor Strange smiling is maybe my favorite awful poster I've ever seen in my entire life because it is so terrible. But people are fucking assholes.
So here's the thing. So Captain Marvel comes back, and it's pretty clear. The only thing that's super clear is that Carol Danvers doesn't know that she's Carol fucking Danvers.
Yes.
So why the fuck would she be smiling when she's in the most foreign environment?
That was her answer. She goes, I don't have my memory. I'm trying to get it back. No, there aren't a lot of happy moments. Yes.
Thank you, Brie Larson.
She goes, there are moments of levity, but not in the story you're seeing here.
Just 100% dashboard confessional. Vindicated. I am selfless.
It is. First of all, what's always interesting with Marvel movies to me is that, with the exception of Guardians of the Galaxy and the first Iron Man, I think the first trailer that comes out for a lot of Marvel movies is
usually
not underwhelming, but it's low key because they're still shooting, they're still doing effects, they're still putting shit together.
And it seems like it's an intentional formula at this point, that they kind of set the bar a little bit low.
Well, and they can't show, some of it is that they don't want to give away too much too early. And,
sure.
And that was, and so just so you all know, because this is a good transition, we are talking on today's podcast about trailers and hype, movie trailers, previews, and kind of the evolution of them. And let's talk about MCU. I want to go through the history in a second, but we're on it now because I think it's an easy one to do because the first one in the MCU is Iron Man, and the first Iron Man teaser was fucking amazing because it was
really good.
It told you the first act of the movie straight out. Here's Robert Downey Jr. being funny and charming and an asshole. He gets blown up. They tell him to build a bomb. He doesn't want to build a bomb. He builds an Iron Man suit and he comes back home. That is the bulk of the beginning of the trailer.
Yeah.
And then it's him being like, I want to do something different with my life. I want to protect. We get a couple of Iron Man stuff. We get a bunch of montage. And then the last 30 seconds is the money shot of him flying with the F-16 jets. And it's 30 seconds of that scene. And everyone was like, oh my God. Like, no one had, we saw Superman Returns. They didn't do an amazing job with the flying. And they did okay with the flying. But this was like, this looks real. Like, this looks photoreal, and it's impressive. And you're like, holy shit. This is, I had no idea what to expect from this superhero. I knew nothing about Iron Man before that trailer.
Well, yeah, Iron Man was something I was looking forward to, just because I knew Iron Man just from the comics. As a matter of fact, I mentioned on previous podcasts, I was more of a DC guy growing up, but Iron Man was one of the few Marvel superheroes that I actually owned comics from, and I did like the character a lot. So I was excited when I found out about when Tom Cruise was supposed to be doing it. And I was just like, yeah, this is, because that was Tom Cruise's passion project for years and years, and they couldn't get it made.
And then almost Sam Rockwell.
Yeesh.
Which was, that was real close.
I can't. I love Sam Rockwell, but I just can't fucking see it, dude.
Well, you can. You've seen it. It's his Justin Hammer.
Well,
his Justin Hammer it's 100% why Favreau hired him. He goes, I want to make, you were second in line to be Tony Stark. I'm going to cast you as the guy who's second in line to be Tony Stark. And
pretty much.
It sort of makes sense. But, I think, the Marvel trailers in general, I thought that the first Infinity War trailer was uneven and weird. And remember we talked about it and I said, it looks like they're cutting around something. Like, it's very bizarre. Then the second trailer was like,
amazing.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
This is crazy. And I think the only other one, like I said, I think that really nailed it in the first one around was Guardians of the Galaxy. The first Guardians of the Galaxy trailer, I remember...
Uka Chucka.
Yep. You like literally texted me, like, when they hit the... Because I remember when we first thought it was Tom Jones. You're like, when the Tom Jones kicked in, I literally started, like, laughing hysterically at my desk. And I was like, this is a trailer that sets tone and mood for this movie, like, instantly.
Yeah, of course.
And this is totally different.
Right then, you kind of get a feel that, this is going to be something completely new.
And so at this point, it's like, I love looking forward to the Marvel trailers, but they don't really impact my interest in seeing the movie. Like, it really, they would have to do something really egregious in, like, the Captain Marvel trailer for me to be like, I don't want to see this anymore. Or... Well,
I think that that's just because of the established universe.
Sure.
And so... at this point, you have sort of these established properties. But, I mean, like, I think that, one of the things, if we're talking about the way that we... I'm going to work backwards here and say one thing, just kind of make a blanket statement, which I feel like is completely... There's no way that you can deny that right now, the culture of sort of hype or fanboyism is more... pessimistic and vitriolic and damaging than it ever has been.
100%.
And the internet has given power to people, or some sort of supposed power to people who think that they can, whether they're just trolling or whether they, whether they're just being hyperbolic. Ultimately, right now, people feel like they can say the most outlandish things, and maybe they're going to get some play or some sort of feeling, for it. And it's caused. It's actually damaged my ability to enjoy movies in some cases. It's the fact that there are people out there that, and you could even bring it back to the Marvel versus DC thing. The fact that chasm is so big, and there are people who just will not bend, no matter what, on either side, is really kind of alarming for somebody who just loves to kind of absorb popular media and absorb these movies and make my own decision about whether I like them or not, because we're geeks. We both geek out over shit.
I think this is very much, and I don't think it's at all like symptomatic of politics. I don't think there's any of stuff like that. I think what it is that more, like you said, more and more people are getting a voice. But I think the other side of it is that there is a large sect of the population that likes to debate, and they like to say this or that. And everything is this or that. You can't have both things. It's this or that. This is better than that. That is better than this. And it's lists. And maybe it's the BuzzFeed culture that you rank. Everything is ranked.
And they double down, too. And they double down on it. There's no level of reason or any sort of level of sort of intelligent argument that you can bring that's going to change that person's mind.
Well, and it's like, but I see that's also what I hate about it, is there's no argument. Like, someone can watch Captain Marvel and say, I don't like it. It doesn't work for me. I don't like that she lands in a blockbuster. Why does it have to be a blockbuster? Oh, we get it. She's in the 90s. And she's doing that. And I heard a lot of that, too. I heard a lot. She's wearing a Nine Inch Nails. Yeah, I go, well, you know what? I worked at Blockbuster when in the 90s, and I wore Nine Inch Nails t-shirts and Pearl Jam t-shirts and Soundgarden t-shirts, because that's kind of what you did in the 90s. So,
right.
Yeah, you can argue it, but it's not really, it doesn't, I don't care to have my mind changed anymore. I really decided that it's not a set in my ways thing. It's that I'm actively interested in other people's opinions. I just don't care for them to change mine, and I have no interest in changing theirs. Like, there's nothing I want to do to be like, oh, you should give Captain Marvel a second chance. But no.
Yeah, so
you don't want to watch it, don't watch it.
You're interested, I mean, I wouldn't put myself as that close. I'm always open to change my opinion on something if somebody can make a cohesive enough point that it's going to make sense. But what you're saying is that you have no interest in engaging in an argument that has no necessary end, knowing that it's going to have no necessary end, with the thought that, oh, we're going to change your opinion on something. Because we've gotten into these arguments with Nick, and you and I have before, where it's just like, we're obviously not going to change each other's minds here.
Well, I think also the side of it that I'm really on is that I think that, okay, look, if you want to change my mind positively, I'm okay with that, right? You want to change my mind and maybe give something a chance? Sure. If your goal is to change my mind about something I enjoyed, and just to be like, oh no, by the way, it sucks, and here's why it sucks, and shit on it. No, what is the purpose of that? I liked it. Maybe you feel I'm simple for liking it or whatever it is, but it's a simple and futile gesture to just like shit on stuff, and I think there is almost a patient zero of the especially the trailer hate. And I don't know if you'll agree with me on this or not, and we're going to be jumping around in time a little bit, but I think The Phantom Menace broke trailers as we know it. I think everything after Phantom Menace changed. And it hit...
You know, it's funny. It was one of the greatest first trailers for a movie of all time. And I think that... So we're talking about a movie that came out in 1999... And effectively, I believe that the trailer was released in November of December. So it was November of 1997. The internet was a relatively new thing then. I mean, obviously, your .coms had been starting to blow up.
It would take hours to download that trailer.
But everybody downloaded it. It was the first.
I didn't have broadband. I went and watched Enemy of the State twice. I watched Enemy of the State twice because it was the preview playing before that movie.
Well, I remember
it was the only way I could see it.
A lot of people, they said that they got about a $5 million bump on Meet Joe Black because that was the movie that was first released with. It was released with Meet Joe Black. And what was the other animated movie I really liked that came out a week later that nobody liked?
The one in the pirate ship?
No, it was the Space Pirate Ship.
The Space Pirate with Matt Damon.
Bill Pullman and Matt Damon.
Yeah. I forget what the name is. Forget the name of that movie, but I know what you're talking about.
Anyways, I actually really like that movie too. It's not bad. John Leguizamo's a voice in it. Yeah, it's there's anyways, but I still remember that especially Meet Joe Black got a bump just because people would buy a ticket just to go watch the fucking trailer and then we would walk out.
And it was huge. And so everyone sees this trailer and everyone was like, oh my God.
It was the first time that people online were screen capping stuff and like saying like, oh, look at this scene. Here's what this means. Here's what this means.
Look at how badass Darth Maul is. Oh my God. This is going to be the greatest villain that the world has ever seen. Like,
exactly.
Everyone made up their mind about that movie that day. This is going to be the greatest Star Wars movie we've ever seen.
Which is, in and of itself, one of the reasons why you don't want the most perfectly constructed trailers of all time. Because that trailer released today, people would still fucking freak out about it. It's a great trailer.
Well, and it was
20 years later.
And Lucas was great with that too. Even after people felt burned by Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones' first trailer was great because it's just Darth Vader breathing and quick flashes. You just hear like, and you see like image.
Right.
Count Dooku's lightsaber. Like, and you have nothing. Literally just nothing. That was in front of Monsters, Inc. I remember that one, which was good because I liked Monsters, Inc., so I went and saw that a bunch of times.
Nice.
But like but I think the Star Wars movies were when people started to be like, okay, you fucked with us. You showed us this amazing trailer for a movie that wound up being garbage. in their opinion, and that's when I think people really started to judge a lot of.
Well, let's rewind a little bit more, because as far as like, I don't know how many old trailers you've watched from all the way from the 30s.
I mean, I have my I've seen them, but they're not. A lot of them are also recut, for like digital age.
So the thing is a lot of the trailers pretty much gave away the entire plot of the movie.
Yeah.
They were, I think in the 70s, they became a little bit better constructed, where people realized, like, oh, this is kind of its own art form in and of itself. Mm-hmm. So when you had these trailers that were very stylized, like The French Connection and Network and Alien.
Alien's my favorite of that era.
And where they're very stylized, kind of in the style of the movie. Like the French Connection one is one I remember, just because they kept on showing those shots of the cars going really fast, or like the POV down in the with the bridges going by the Chicago.
There was also not a lot of music or sound to it. It was almost all just actual sound from the movie.
Yeah, exactly. And so people started, I think, realizing, oh, hey, look, we can do something a little bit different from a marketing standpoint. We don't have to just kind of lay out the plot of the movie and just be like, this is what you need to go see.
Well, I think, and it's another one of those turning points where that's when you start to have trailers on TV, versus before you only saw trailers at the movie theater.
Exactly.
And so that makes a big difference of how are we going to sell this on TV, which is exactly what they do, is how do we sell this on the internet, which eventually is where they got to.
Yeah, and so I do think that there were some other great, but ultimately, I mean, when you get to the 80s and 90s, people realize you can make a trailer that's not indicative of the quality of the movie, or where you can really kind of massage, okay, where are three money shots? Like, what are the best things that we can do from a visual standpoint? What can we do to make this, seem more exciting or whatever? And it became a marketing tool in and of itself. And it was actually, the 80s was around the time where a lot of these pop-up shops started in Hollywood, started basically coming out, because it used to just be the studios cut their own movies.
Yeah.
And the studios started hiring out these like consulting and ad firms, basically, of saying, like, you need to make me this trailer that's going to sell this movie in this way. And they became specialized of saying, like, okay, well, we're going to kind of take the reins on this ourselves.
And I think that's when you're hitting into the 90s on there.
Yeah.
And I think what's interesting with the 80s trailers, part of what I thought was fascinating, is there were a lot of teasers that were either not at all footage from the movie because they didn't have it.
Sure.
And that's what's kind of, Back to the Future is a famous one. It's Marty McFly kicking the tires of the DeLorean in a shot that doesn't exist in the final film, in a costume he never wears in the movie, and a version of the car that's not exactly the same one as in the final movie. It's because they were still shooting. They were reshooting that movie, and they had the minimal special effects, versus now things are in post-production for so long that you have this, a year and a half that you can build trailer after trailer after trailer and do that. And then in the 90s... The 90s is famous for, let's play this right here.
In a world where the sun burns cold.
The Don LaFontaine years of the overused voiceover.
Well, the voiceover was, the LaFontaine years maybe were the 90s, but the voiceover had been used since the 70s.
Sure. But yeah, I think they were very, very cookie. A lot of the stuff was very cookie cutter in the 90s, and you're right. It was it was usually just one money shot, like one really whatever they could afford to have done for that. Like Independence Day was the White House exploding.
Well, Independence Day was actually one of the trailers I automatically remember of just being like, it was very simple because it said on July 2nd they arrived. And then it was a couple of shots, and then it said on July 3rd they attack, and it was a couple of shots, and then on July 4th it was the day that we fight back, and then it just says Independence Day, and everyone nutted themselves. They were so excited about that movie.
I remember that was one of the funniest ones, because that's similar to the director thing, is I didn't know who was in that movie from the trailer. I don't think I remember even seeing anything.
You do not see any of that, and then you get pleasantly surprised when you realize that Jeff Goldblum's in it.
So I literally, the day before I go to see that movie, I'm reading the TGIF, the Palm Beach Post TGIF, which is like the movie section. And there's a big thing talking about the movie, and it's like, yes, this is the movie that stars Jeff Goldblum, Will Smith, and Bill Pullman. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I couldn't process the marketing campaign up to that point, and then those 3 actors, and there's like, and Judd Hirsch, and I was like, I don't understand what this movie is. I have to see this.
Yeah, right, exactly. No, I mean they did a pretty they did something similar actually with Twister too, but in Twister you at least got Bill Paxton at one point, like a one shot, but ultimately it was all just about flashes in the dark and things flying out at the screen, and it was this really interesting time where I mean it was marketing took over,
and I think as much as I'll give Phantom Menace some big credit for it, there's another really big movie from '99 that I think also changed modern trailers and modern marketing, and I think it was really the turning point, and that's The Matrix. And The Matrix was
the first trailer I ever probably watched over 100 times.
Super Bowl, the Super Bowl trailer.
That was the first trailer they ever released.
Yeah, which no one knew what it was.
No one knew a thing about it.
Do you want to know what The Matrix is?
Yes.
That was basically the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it was brilliant. And I still remember everyone was talking about the next day at school. Like, everybody was just like...
It was unbelievable.
Did you see that trailer?
You sounded like Luna.
No, it was. It was one. I still remember. I downloaded that. We had just gotten our T1 line in our school, and we downloaded it on like every single computer at the school.
Yeah.
And so anybody could watch it at any time. You could just pull it up in QuickTime and just be like, "Yeah, we're going to watch the Matrix trailer."
It was crazy. Well, and it was also what kicked off. So now the Super Bowl is known for being a trailer launching point, but it never was that before. There was not a thought.
It was a big deal because Warner Brothers spent a lot of money getting that ad buy for that year because they showed the full trailer, which was the minute 30. And they even had a thing about it in Cinescape where they talked about how they were in the January Cinescape, how Warner Brothers was betting all of this money on this movie that nobody had any idea about what anything was going to be about.
And the tagline is just so brilliant. No one can be told what The Matrix is. They have to see it for themselves. And I was like, you fucking kidding me? Like, and I have to imagine that there's a moment of like J.J. Abrams watching that in '99, and he instantly becomes fully erect and he doesn't know why. Yeah. And then realizes this is my future, because he was very much took over that kind of puzzle box type trailer system a lot in the 2000s.
Yeah, sure. Anyways, well, it was absolutely. I mean, I would say that The Matrix is probably. It was the most affecting trailer of it, where I was just like randomly. I still remember like I took a girl like on a date and I was just like, "Have you seen the Matrix trailer?" She was like, "No," and like I was like, "We have to go somewhere, so you have to come over to my house before we go out to eat dinner, so we can watch the Matrix trailer."
And then you pull the old Ben Wilson Matrix maneuver.
Yeah,
it's called the Morpheus.
Oh no. Let me just say that did not work out well.
No, and there were he didn't offer any red or blue pills, but it's he knew better back then.
I was not going to Cosby that situation.
But it was interesting because I think what happened with The Matrix also influenced the big. So 99 was a big fucking year for marketing. So you've got
The Mummy was a big marketing push. I remember on that.
But I think Phantom Menace, Matrix, and the Blair Witch Project were almost the birth of everything modern about advertising movies.
Right. Well, Blair Witch was the viral it birthed what is considered viral marketing now.
Yeah, and it's amazing. That's all one summer. It's the internet before there's really the internet, and that's kind of the amazing thing. Is I remember reading things about Blair Witch, but again, I didn't have a dial-up. I had a dial-up connection, so I couldn't download any of this shit. It was literally hours to get access to a lot of this stuff, even in '99 at that point. And I think it was just this jumping off point for pretty much everything that's happened in the last 20 years of movie hype and marketing. It's just with a little more positive spin on it, and a little less of the negativity that we have now.
Well, I mean, for those that don't know, when Blair Witch came out in 1999, the team behind it did a really great job of masking the fact that it was actually just a narrative fictional film, and planted a bunch of websites basically built up talking about the Blair Witch, talking about these people who had gone missing or whatever.
They sent VHS tapes out to sites like Ain't It Cool, And
Yep.
and even Ain't It Cool at that point knew they figured it out.
They were in on the joke, yeah.
But their reviews were all great. They're like, listen, we got a hold of this videotape, and like they liked it. And it's one of the few times that I think the critics actually played along with it. They're like, this is kind of fun. We want to keep messing like, hey, we got this secret tape, and it's really disturbing. And they're gonna put it on screen.
But so it was very. It was a smart move. It was a really smart move, and I still remember. I read a book about the making of Blair Witch and also the marketing push behind it afterwards. And I wish I still had it, and I can't remember the title of it. But the whole journey of Blair Witch, from it being made to being distributed, is a pretty fun story and really interesting, just because a lot of the people who ended up making the most money on that movie always bet against that movie. They were the ones who were just like, this is never going to work. This is not a good marketing strategy or whatever. But the distributors who did it
was Lionsgate, right? Yeah. They're the ones that picked it up eventually.
I think so. But apparently they were not with the whole thing, and it just became this cultural phenomenon that year. And that I remember that August, even one of my best friend's sisters had like the handprints on the back of her car, and stuff like that. I mean, it was just so it became such a huge deal, and was then beat out Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as the highest grossing independent film made of all time.
It's insane,
but. Yeah, so you're right. 1999, huge year for movies.
That was the year of hype. I mean, it was just a huge year of releases as well. But I mean, it was just the hype behind everything was just kind of astronomical. And so then we go into the 2000s, and now we're in ready-made internet. We're about to meet YouTube, which is going to become. Oh my God! What have you done?
I knocked over one.
You knocked over Frank Castle. He's going to kill everyone in this room right now.
All right. I'm putting Frank Castle back up.
No, and so you get to the 2000s, and now we've got the internet, and we've got YouTube, and we've got readily available trailers to find online. And
right.
That
was the big movement, I think, in the early 2000s. Is because, like, when I went to film school, that was 2001. We were just crossing over into the time where it was readily available. You could watch any trailer online. You could go to Yahoo Movies, and that you could stream a trailer as soon as it was released.
And cool, QuickTime was always my trailer den. Was the Apple QuickTime site.
Sure, yeah, the Apple QuickTime site was big back then too, and we had all of these brand new Mac G3s.
Oh, nice.
And so,
QuickTime was the only software you could really do really good freeze frame. So you could take a space bar, and I could frame through movie trailers like thousands of times to try to catch shit in it that I couldn't see.
Yeah, so it became an era where people could dissect trailers and discuss trailers and discuss shots and things along those lines. But and there are some trailers I want to mention here in a little bit. But
sure.
I wanted to go ahead and go over the one that I think that if you go to a different time period, the next huge blow up for me was in that 2006-2007 time frame when you had the trailer for the Dark Knight and Cloverfield.
Yeah.
Two trailers that were dissected to a level that had never been seen before.
Yeah.
Where people were going down these rabbit holes of like, what does this mean? There's a code. There's
a lion in Cloverfield is a lion. Do you remember all of that shit?
Yeah, it's a lion. It's huge.
It's huge. It's a lion. It's a giant lion.
No, but I still remember like people were looking at like the addresses like on the buildings and like this means this is a code and this means this and whatever, and like some people said it was a vault,
which some of them did.
Yes,
have codes built in.
That was crazy. The point, and that's how they got to the whole Slusho site or whatever, and like which was actually created. Even though it was basic Korea, it was apparently created by Bad Robot, by the guys who produced Cloverfield. So I mean, like they did what kind of Blair Witch did, but they just took it to the next level where they're like, okay, at this point we're just putting Easter eggs everywhere. And the whole point is watching the trailer and finding these Easter eggs and how can you dissect them and that type of thing.
And Dark Knight was just simply a matter of everyone wanted to see Heath Ledger's Joker. What is Heath Ledger's Joker going to sound like?
I don't even think it was that so much. that...
I mean, that was me. I wanted to know what the Joker was going to be like.
But see, their viral campaign
was... The Why So Serious?
The Why So Serious campaign was the most ambitious, and it was taking everything that Cloverfield and... it was doing then and what Blair Witch did back in the day to a brand new level.
Well, and that was all pre-trailer, which was interesting with The Dark Knight. It was bus stops, and I remember distinctly Ches Pazienza and I arguing because they had that one half image they had sort of released that looked like Ledger with the scars.
Yep.
And he goes, there's no fucking way that's what the Joker, the final design... He goes, you think they're going to sell toys that look like that? You think a studio's going to let them make a movie where the Joker's face looks like that? No way. And we're like, let's find out. And so I was like, I got to see this... I got to see what he actually looks like. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
And it was great.
Yeah. So I thought that year was really exceptional as far as... Now... to get into some of the ones that I wanted to specifically mention really quick, there was another one that came out that year. Actually, yeah, it was late that year, very late that year, and which is one of the trailers I think that also set the bar for saying if you create a trailer that is just going to completely capture people, you're going to have a hit movie, and that was the trailer for 300.
Oh wow.
So the trailer for 300 came out in late 2007. That movie came out in March of 2008 and immediately became the highest grossing March movie of all time. It grossed something like $78 million on its first weekend off of a budget that was less than that.
Wow.
And immediately skyrocketed Zack Snyder into kind of the popular culture pantheon. If you have not watched the trailer for 300 recently, the trailer for that movie, it was absolutely exquisitely made. It was, but the thing is it always, you're playing in a realm where Zack Snyder had gone full on capture what's in the kind of comic. It's completely stylized. You're on a green screen or whatever, and you're having these images that are very lush and rich, but also very... surreal. But regardless, the way that trailer, I mean, and everyone was joking about it. Like that year when it came out, everyone was just like, "This is Sparta!"
Oh yeah,
and that became a thing.
I'm laughing just because I had this conversation with Nick and Paul last week. I've never watched 300 all the way through. No, and it's
not a great movie.
So the trailer. I remember seeing the trailer, and I remember everyone losing their shit over the trailer. And I go, okay. I go. It looks interesting, like the look of it. But I go, it looks like a video game cutscene. And I go, and I'm like, is the whole movie like that? And so my roommate, my friend, went to go see it. And I was like, should I go see it? He's like, you're not gonna, because I don't think you're gonna. This is not for you. And I go, okay. And then I caught bits and pieces of it, and it was fine what I saw of it, but
it's not bad.
It wasn't for me, but yeah, I do remember the trailer's striking. It's just it's.
But see, that was one of the things that Matt brought up that we were going to maybe discuss is like some trailers, especially ones that recently that were kind of permeated popular culture that said, oh, this movie's going to be awesome or this movie's going to be great.
Yeah.
But ones that didn't really live up to their expectation or their hype. And I think that 300 was definitely one of those for me because I thought that 300, and actually right around the same time, I still remember the trailer for Max Payne when that came out, the Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
And that is actually another really good example of a trailer that was amazing. I mean, the first trailer for Max Payne was so good. And that movie sucked so bad.
It's another one I have not. I remember the trailer, but I have not seen it.
Yeah. It's funny. It's not a good movie.
I'll bring up no one. I know both of these are going to be near and dear to your heart, and it's very much in the same vein of what you're talking about. I guess, although you and I did like one of these movies, and everyone else hated it, but both of them are Superman movies. The trailer for Superman Returns is the first trailer, the teaser. It's all Marlon Brando voiceover that's been reused, and it's the original John Williams score. And it is the most manipulative trailer for a nostalgia freak I think has ever been released. It is the most, hey, like the first Superman, I dare you not to enjoy this trailer. I dare you not to find something you like in this.
Well, but here's the thing, is manipulative as you may say that is, or whatever, The fact of the matter is Superman Returns occurs after Superman 2.
Yeah.
Like, they were just like... They did it before it was in vogue, which is now the new in vogue thing to do.
And it is manipulative, but it is 100% representative of the movie.
Yeah, 100%. That movie is nothing if not just completely beholden to its previous iteration.
It's literally trying... Like, what if Donner did a third movie? This is what it would look like.
Exactly.
And I still like it. But my favorite... trailer, my favorite Superman trailer that I know you and I both love. Man of Steel is one of the best cut, gorgeous, scored trailers I've ever seen. If that movie and I don't hate that movie really.
I don't hate it, but it's not.
But it is not that. But it's not nearly as good as that trailer is. And that I remember when you and I watched the trailer, I'm like, the fucking drums, fucking Costner, his line delivery, everything in that trailer just fucking soars.
Yeah, it sung. Yeah,
and
it was
it's
badass.
a shame that the movie was just so not as good as that trailer. But that was one of the times I really felt duped. I think that's probably what gave me stage fright for trailers the most of any movies. I was just like, I can't trust a lot of these things.
Well, even before, like, there was one other that I had meant to mention that, because that was I had as my third one was Man of Steel.
Yeah.
I had 300, Max Payne, Man of Steel, which were all kind of these more modern movies that had where it was just like, oh man, these trailers are just badass, but it just does not. Effectively.
The Man of Steel trailer is so good that I watch it and I go, maybe I should watch that movie again. Like, it makes me think I missed something in the movie.
Yeah. Well, so the other one I actually just wanted to briefly mention besides Cloverfield, which was, I like this kind of concept occasionally when you see a movie trailer that you just had no kind of idea or expectation about, or even really it had no relevant, place in your kind of headspace. And then you watch the trailer and you're just like, I'm first in line. Like that's the first. I'm right there. And I still remember, and it was consistent across the board online back in 2008 or 2009, excuse me, when everyone was just like, they're making a fucking Facebook movie.
God damn, dude! I swear to God, if you see my note sheet, you're gonna lose your shit because it is. Every single one of the things we've both talked about is on here. It's fucking crazy, dude.
There you go. But I still remember everyone watching that trailer, and I think it is for a drama,
it's a creep.
To the orchestral rendering of Creep is one of the most perfectly constructed trailers of all time. And I still remember I was just like, I am fucking sold. I was like, I will be first in line to see. And Beth and I saw it early. We got.
I remember you telling me about that.
We got early pass tickets to go see that in downtown West Palm, and went. And I still remember while we were in line trying to get in. We were waiting to get inside. It was when Michael Jackson died.
Oh wow!
Yeah, we were in line outside, and people were like, "People are saying Michael Jackson died." We were walking into the Social Network.
2010. Dude, it's this week. 2010. If I'm not, because I saw that movie.
So we saw it like a month before it was released, though.
Yeah, because I saw it with my brother and Chez at Halloween Horror the day after Halloween Horror Nights in 2010. Because you had told me that the scene in the conference room, where he shoots back at them.
Have I adequately answered your condescending question?
You told me, you go, he's going to get an Oscar nod for that line delivery alone in this one scene. I was like, I was so excited for it. But yeah, that trailer is fucking phenomenal. And it's so funny. I was looking, because I did like a very, very little amount of research I could do on this, which a lot of the stuff that we've talked about was not anywhere on any stuff. The only one that they brought,
I did this entirely off of kind of my own.
Yeah, I mean the only one that I saw, and it was funny because it was doing like a this versus this trailer, and it was basically like, here's your bracket, and it was doing like kind of a countdown of trailers, and most of them were not stuff that I would consider here, but they had Social Network versus Pineapple Express. And I was like, fuck, I'd forgotten about the Pineapple Express set song.
It was a fun trailer.
Yeah, I mean it was a really big trailer.
It is nothing close.
No, it's not the art of the Social Network, but it is interesting because it's a trailer that does something. They have to do something very quick, which is say, James Franco is the comedic lead in this movie, and Seth Rogen's the somewhat straight man. So if we need you to buy that, and then you'll be okay.
Well, so I still remember. I mean, it does have one because it ruins one of the funniest lines in the movie in that trailer, where he's like, I think we should hide here. He's like, why, man? He's like, because he already jumped in the dumpster.
Because I'm already in the dumpster.
Which I laughed out loud when I saw that in the theater, and I was just like, holy fuck, that's funny. But but it's one of the funniest lines in the movie, and unfortunately I do always hate it when the trailer like always has
that drives me well. That's what so one of the ones I wanted to bring up on here that is a great version of not doing that is Deadpool. And the first Deadpool,
they shot extra stuff just for their marketing materials.
Yeah, and I love, and that used to be what they would do with movies a lot. And like I remember, Austin Powers 2 shot a trailer to attach to Phantom Menace. That's a whole big like joke that you hear the Darth Vader breathing and all this stuff, and then it's Dr. Evil. And he's like, you were expecting someone else. It's just it's a stupid fucking teaser thing. But they shot this whole extra thing that's not the movie.
Yeah.
Doesn't give away anything. It lets you know there's going to be this movie out there. And I kind of miss that. And that's what's kind of curious to me is that, so we've had a lot of retreads. Paranormal Activity pulled the Blair Witch thing, and they did a pretty decent job with it. But mainly just they were the first ones to say, here's footage inside the theater of people being scared shitless by this movie, which is a pretty clever gimmick. Not as clever as Blair Witch, but it's clever enough that it got a lot of people in that movie for a movie that's really not that a whole lot going on in it other than 3 moments for the most part. But I'm kind of curious what is the next big thing? What is the next big evolution?
I mean, at this point,
trailers.
I can't,
other than four teasers for the trailer, which drives me fucking insane.
Yeah, there's nothing.
A preview for a preview is a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, like nowadays, like even if you go on like the Warner Brothers thing or whatever, they release a trailer, they'll do this like little 7-second tag before the trailer starts, and it drives me so nuts. I just want to punch through my fucking screen.
Who is that for? And you know what it is? I take that back. I know what it's for. It's because you're scrolling through Facebook. And they got 7 seconds to show you 17 images. They get you to take your fat thumb and slow down and get their metrics up on it. But it fucking sucks.
No, it sucks so bad.
Don't show me 4 things that I want to see. Now I'm going to see the thing 7 times.
You want to see it in the context of the trailer. You don't want to see it in the context of some
I just want to see it in the context of the movie. But
well, of course. Of course you do. I can't presuppose to understand or even in any way comprehend what the next big thing is going to be, because I have just been kind of a passive observer as things have changed and things have moved along, and I don't have any idea at this point. Now, the one thing I guess that people could say,
what about live trailers?
Well, no, not live trailers. I think what I was about to say is that I think that you could get into the point soon where you could have some AR or VR type of experience, but augmented reality I think would be an interesting thing where you could actually watch the trailer in the context of it being like somewhat interactive.
Sure. Legitimately, Hugh Jackman did that. Did not the AR, the VR, but he did a live action for The Greatest Showman during A Christmas Story. They performed a live number on the back lot. Him, Zac Efron, Zendaya, everyone from that movie did a live number, which I was not really interested in that movie, but I was like, fuck, these guys care about this movie. And like that kind of thing, and that's something that's the only reason I ever eventually watched the movie, was I'm like, I have to and they're making it into a Broadway show, and I don't particularly love it, but I love the idea I love people getting excited about musicals, as you know.
Sure.
So I'm on board with it.
That movie was very strange. It had a second life I did not anticipate, because
Me neither.
That movie came out and just kind of fizzled away, and then all of a sudden the soundtrack got big, and then people just fucking went nuts for it.
I think it was literally as Hugh Jackman pounded the pavement everywhere he possibly could until it caught enough ears that someone's like, oh, I like this song. Where is this from? Oh, it's from this movie. I'm going to watch this movie. And that's kind of, and I think that's a kind of a hidden gem with a lot of movie advertising hype. Is that's another thing that will get me to go see a movie, is to watch a star go out and not half-ass it. to get out there and be like, hey, I fucking care about this thing.
You can bring that back in a completely different vein to Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool, because
absolutely,
like, that's the one thing you know that he cares about, because he fucking loves Deadpool.
Yeah.
It's his favorite comic book character of all time, and he is so dedicated to that. I mean, he essentially is the reason why the first movie got made in the fucking first place.
Absolutely, it's maybe it's sad to say, I will be softer on a movie that I know someone put heart and blood and sweat and tears into.
So you would say maximum effort?
That's exactly correct. Maximum effort. Absolutely, that goes along. Like, it's okay.
No, I agree with you.
It's the same as if you go see a friend of yours in a play, and the play's not great, but you know that they fucking busted their ass to get this done. You're gonna enjoy it more just because you appreciate the work that went into it, and I think that's a really important thing with a lot of movies.
Absolutely. So it brought me to this other area, just to having this kind of preliminary discussion. Was there are a bunch of movies I absolutely love that did not have a trailer that did them justice, and I found when I was picking them out, when I just wanted to pick a few out quickly, that they are all very similar in construct, in that they are mashups, and they are movies that are not easy to put into a box from a genre standpoint. And but the thing is now people are so adept at making trailers. I feel like that's not. It doesn't have to be that way. Like there are ways now where they can more creatively market movies that are more genre mashup.
It depends on what the built-in interest is in that to start.
Exactly.
I think if you've got
that's the thing, because you have to sell the movie, but you also.
So for here's a really good example, and I've not seen it yet, and it didn't do huge box office, but it was well reviews. Was Hereditary, which has a very tricky, weird trailer that doesn't really tell you much of anything. There's some atmosphere, and there's a lot of like, this did really well at this film festival.
I love that trailer. I feel like I haven't seen the movie yet. I need to see the movie to adequately be able to.
I like the trailer. I don't know that it's necessarily a wide pop. I think they cut an interesting trailer, but it's tricky.
Well, the ones I were thinking of was like I don't really like the trailer for Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah,
I don't really like the trailer for The Signal, which is another very strange mashup genre movie. Good movie, by the way.
Cabin was one of those. I remember I just knew a little bit about it, and I think I saw a trailer, and I stopped. I instantly knew it was a movie I wanted to see, and I wanted to know nothing else about, and I avoided every piece of marketing after that.
I didn't really enjoy the trailer for Monsters, which is a movie I really like. Gareth Edwards' Monsters from 2012. Anyways, I think the one of the ones I remember the most is I always love it when somebody is just like, a movie, I'll see a trailer for a movie, I'll just be like, that fucking sucks. And then it gets released, and it comes out on video, and then all of a sudden people are just like, wait, you didn't see that movie? Because it's really good. I still remember that happened back in 2007, 2008, whenever it was, with DJ Caruso's film Disturbia, the Shia LaBeouf movie. Because I remember watching that trailer just being like, oh man, I was like, not only is it like, oh, they're ripping off rear window, but they're really like
leaning into it.
They're leaning into it, and it just looks like awful acting and just like awful all across the board. And then all these people were just like, Disturbia was a great fucking movie.
It's a really good flick.
Everyone was like, this movie is really good. And I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? And I rented it. It was 2007 when it came out. I rented it, and I was just like, this is a really fucking good movie. And if they had, I think, a little bit more honestly or artistically kind of sold that movie, they may have had a bigger hit on their hands.
Well, I don't know, because I think the way they
sold it as a teen movie.
Yeah, and I think they got more of the teen audience, and they were, and then they got eventually other people saw it. I mean, eventually it worked, but
eventually, and that's the thing. Sometimes, I mean, I don't know, but I don't think that's calculated. I think that they're trying to think how do we get the most asses in seats.
I agree, and I can't say that I entirely would make that decision differently if I was a studio exec and I looked at that movie.
I'm not saying I would either, but
I don't know that I would. I get it. I get the reason for doing it.
But anyways, all of those movies, I feel like the movie's misrepresented in the trailer. I don't like the trailers based off of what the end product of the movie is. Now, I honestly saw all of those movies for one reason or another. Was it because of word of mouth or just because
word of mouth for sure?
Yeah,
Disturbia was one of those I read good review, and I mean, I read reviews a little less ish now because I really am scared most of the time of being of getting spoiled for it. But I'll read like maybe AV Club or Variety or just like just the Cliff's Notes kind of on their stuff. Yeah. Just so because I hate the idea of ruining something that could be really amazing to see for the first time.
Yeah. And you and I are the same way as like for example, I don't ever read any reviews in their entirety until after I've seen the movie.
Yeah.
I will read little blurbs from like Rotten Tomatoes, how they'll do like one sentence.
Yeah,
because that never gives anything away. It's always just about the encapsulation of what they thought about the movie. And so I like reading those and then just completely avoiding full on reviews.
I typically read until I get to a sentence that makes me really excited and I go, that's it, good, done.
Yeah, done.
And it's usually just like there's some bit that I'm like, oh, they got really excited about this thing, that makes me really excited, we're good to go. And it's so, I mean, really, I think we covered almost everyone. The only trailer I'm not sure, I don't think you would have on yours, but it was one of my favorite trailers, and this would be in 90. The trailer would have come out in 99. God, fucking another 99 trailer. But the movie did not come out until 2000. The fall of 2000. Or maybe it was the... Not fall, I'm sorry, the winter of 2000. It might have been
by the way, the movie, the anime movie we were trying to think of earlier was Titan AE.
Titan AE, that's right. Actually, I take it back. I think this was... the trailer was 2000. The movie was January of 2001. But it's Unbreakable. And the Unbreakable trailer is one of my it's back when Shyamalan was
I still remember the where she was just like, it was like, says something, she goes, you were saying a train wreck or whatever.
No, it's him. It's Michael Kelly. It's Michael who's come on to be actually a really big and delivers a great thing. He's a doctor, and it's this. It's my favorite shot in the movie as well, which is not coincidental, but it's just this long shot of him and Bruce Willis, and he's like, "Where were you? Tell me where you were sitting on the train again." You were in the passenger car.
But it keeps flashing,
and then it flashes a little bit to like the car, the train and stuff. And he's like, I told you I was in the passenger car. He's like, why are you looking at me like that? He's like, I'm looking at you like that for two reasons. One, you're one of two people that survived that. The other is there and they're dying. Like, and they're literally.
He says the other is you don't have a scratch on you.
And the other person, all of a sudden, you see a blood stain on the body that's underneath the tarp, and they can't revive it. And then it just goes to Samuel L. Jackson being like, you've been searching for a reason you are the way you are. Five people had to die. These amount of people had to die for you to realize it. Are you ready to go that path? And I was like, I have no idea what. All I know is like I was in a train wreck and he didn't get hurt. That's it. And Samuel L. Jackson's real interested in it. And it's called Unbreakable. And that is another one of the most classically just perfect trailers that gives nothing away from the movie, but makes you, but also gives everything away. Literally, the trailer is broken glass that's shards going through it. I'm like, they tell you everything, you just don't know until you're going to see the movie. And I think those are some of the best trailers you can have, where you go after you see the movie, you go back and say, oh wow.
All of Shyamalan's trailers were really good. Sixth Sense trailer was great. The Signs trailers were both great. I still remember the first one came out where it was just, there was no footage from the movie except for one shot. And it was just because it was just showing crop circles from all around the world, the whatever, and then it just had a shot of Mel Gibson walking in, and it was like a shot that panned up, and he was in the middle of a crop circle, and that was the teaser for the movie. Then the trailer, and I was just like, okay, it's a crop circle movie. Okay, well, fucking whatever. It is what it is. And
like you've seen 100 of those, and you're just like, oh great, another crop circle movie.
I was just like, at this point, I've been online for like 4 years, man. I had seen all the crop circles I needed to see. But no, I remember the second trailer that came out actually was really well crafted. It was very subtle, and it had great. It also one of those things where they had the scene where he drops the light outside and is trying to just get the light back on or whatever. He's in the middle of a cornfield, and it's just quiet. There's no music, and there's no stinger or anything, and it's really, really well done. But yeah, Shyamalan was fantastic.
Also, really great trailers for The Village, which was a really terrible movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was on a roll for a little while there. But I'm really interested to see where the next avenue is for marketing. And I'm still a fanboy. I'm gonna the Dark Phoenix trailer drops tonight. It leaked poorly yesterday on some Russian site or whatever, but I still get excited for trailer releases. I like seeing new footage and seeing it. Now what's interesting is, so with something like Dark Phoenix, is I don't know if I have any interest in this movie. So this trailer is actually sort of important to me to be hey, and I'll tell you a movie that did a really good, the last one I'll talk about here, did a great job this year. They just released the second one. I like the second one, but I thought the first Fantastic Beasts 2 trailer that came out earlier this year is one of the most bombastically effective.
Yeah, I know you liked it a lot. I didn't like it as much as you did. But
something about that trailer worked for me.
I thought that the second trailer was just as good as the first.
And I like the second trailer. Something about that first just checked my boxes. But yeah, the second is all right. Calm down. There's not enough. Okay, anyway, so there wasn't enough lovingly Grindelwald Dumbledore looks in this for my taste. But yeah, I'm excited to see the new Fantastic Beasts. I love that. I love what the first movie. So in the first movie is a really good example that I watched trailers. I was like, and I really had. I'm like, I love Harry Potter, but I don't have any need to go to this part of this world or whatever. And then I saw the movie and fucking loved it.
Yeah.
And I was completely caught off guard.
I told you I really liked that movie too, and I expected not to like it either, and I enjoyed it quite a bit.
I think they're going to do a really good job. We should go take the girls to go see the second. Is it too adulty for them?
Not quite there yet.
All right. Well, next time. next kids you have. All right. Well,
don't you put that jinx on me, motherfucker.
Oh, I think about it all the time. I'm jinxing you constantly. You don't even know it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Just like, twin boys. No, triplets.
Oh, God.
Anyway, on that note, I think we will tie up this evening's podcast. We thank you so much for listening to The New Way, and I'm pretty sure, based on the count of episodes, the next episode you hear...
It's going to be epic.
...is going to be a...
Any more treats?
And a little bit of... Which,
yes.
By the way, a shout out to your beer... Ryan, for making me actually spit beer out my nose, reading your reaction to It's Nerd Rope, motherfucker, on
Thanks,
the beer thread. That was fantastic. Again, thank you guys so much for listening, and we will talk to you on All Hallows Eve.
Cheers.
Cheers.